Right, hello there, everyone. Welcome back to James Redmond TV, and welcome to a live chat show with James Redmond and the guys. The show's growing bigger and bigger. James Lakeman is back in the building, but I did see that there was like 50 people waiting to start this stream, which, for the fact that I've never been consistent with live streams up until the past month, really appreciate it. I see us growing stronger, chat. And also, I love the chat that we're building. One that's open to communication, one that's open to discussion. We have a laugh. And I'm a divvy. I'm someone who doesn't even know what I'm talking about half the time, which is why I ask you guys questions. So it's a very productive way for me to run my YouTube channel, and then you guys respond in the best way possible. Because if you didn't ask questions and then you didn't call me out on me bullshit, then you're, I swore in the first 40 seconds. Chat, you need to stop. You need to start reminding me not to swear early in the stream. Sorry, Jesus. It's one of those things. I'm a work in progress. I'm a preparation vessel, if you want to go on biblical terms. Shout out to UM. What's your favourite takeaway, Jade? Oh, what a great question to start the stream. Forget Szoboszlai. By the way, chat, what's his name? Szoboszlai? Szoboszlai? I'm going to call him Dominik in the meantime, but can someone do the breakdown thing? You know, like where you do the dashes and you pronounce his name in the actual way? Because, yeah, I don't want to offend any Hungarians. But, yeah, favourite takeaways are Chinese. I had one yesterday with my mum, and it was boss. You can't go wrong with a Chinese. So, but it's very, very bad for you, so just don't eat it. It was one of those. It was my birthday, but the diet needs to improve. I personally think we need to one more centre mid after Thuram and another centre back, says Johnny. Shout out to Johnny. Johnny, I'll send you the link in about 20 minutes, half an hour, and then we'll get your views towards the end of the show. Why do people say I'm always late? This is a lie. This is a lie. Shout out to Techers Dave. I see Drunk Vigo in the chat. Drunk Vigo is slowly becoming one of my favourites. I don't like to choose favourites, but he's becoming one of my favourites. He's just a funny dude. Hello, Hammers, mate. Just reminding you not to swear in the first 10 minutes of the stream. It's a little bit late, don't you think? You know what I mean? It's a little bit late. No, big up everyone in the chat. I'm really intrigued to know what you guys are saying. We come on here every day, and I really cannot wait till we get to the point where I can come on camera and we can talk about the previous game, or we can talk about the game coming up. I also can't wait till content creators are available, so I can start tethering content creators on a day-to-day basis. But in the meantime, we have got to deal with the transfer merry-go-round, which is Liverpool Football Club, and yeah, just not signing players above 50 million. But we have been linked with a slightly more credible source in David Ornstein. You can give me your views in the chat. You know I don't hide away from anything, mate. If you think there's someone who's sketchy, then let me know if he's sketchy. But it seems to be more credible. And if he says something, then something is happening, whether it's Liverpool actually getting the player, talking to the player. You know, I have the belief that he has now met, or Liverpool have met, with his representatives. So it's one of those things where I think genuinely, I believe that there could be sincere talks, but then I've just seen a comment here from Captain Sal. By the way, shout out to Captain Sal, old timer in the chat. It could be a PR stunt, and it's not to degrade FSG, particularly when I say PR stunt or they try and control the narrative. I don't try and do this with FSG solely. Every football club owner will tend to have a go at a little bit of PR with, because if they tell you the truth about everything that they're doing, you're not going to be 100% sincere. Imagine in the build-up and talks of the Super League, if FSG was sincerely honest about the part they had to play in that, whether it was setting it up, because I don't think they did, or how much they agreed and then how reluctant was they to pull out. There's just things that you can't know about, because if you knew the facts and if you knew the context about the type of people who are running these football clubs, then you probably wouldn't be best pleased, which is why if we agree that FSG aren't great, or some will refer to them as scumbags or Mr. Krabs FC, if that's something that we all agree on, then we also need to agree that other clubs maybe have something similar, and that's just kind of the way it is. But if they are winning, then at least they're bringing the ambition, which is what the fans want. The value for money, which would be received if we was to start winning more. So very well could be a PR stunt. James, if we signed another 3 midfielders for the summer, name me the most realistic players you would want to have and you can see buying. I feel like Thuram, Kone, and I don't know. I don't know why because now we've got to go into the definition of what's realistic, and I hate the way I go blurry. It must absolutely annoy people. It's either my OCD or it annoys you. You know what I mean? Chat, I might just need to pop out and back in just one. I'm back now. I hate the way it does that. It's like as I'm about to go out, it sorts itself out every single time. Max says, no way, we are getting this Hungarian guy. That's a bit mad, you know, Max. I'm only messing. Nah, only because you referenced Hungarian. Now, I'm not trying to label this anything, by the way. I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, you. Like, remember when Man City were trying to say Klopp was xenophobic? But yeah, get on this. I don't think we should look into the sole premise of him being Hungarian. There has been ballers from a country where, you know, they might be the only baller from that country. I'm trying to think of chat. Give me names of players who was from a country where there was no other ballers, but they was a baller, like a serious baller. Because there's loads of examples. For some reason, the first one was Aubameyang, but that was not the example I wanted to use because I don't think it's a great example. He was good, but you know, because he's from Gabi or something, and oh no, it's definitely not Gabi. And I've just pissed off our country. Oh, James. Oh, I didn't even mean it. Lewandowski, Poland, great example. But what I'm saying is, if you're worried about paying 60 million specifically for a Hungarian, I don't think you should worry about that because I've watched a little bit of Szoboszlai. You know what I mean? By the way, no one answered my question before how to say the guy's name. Chat, we're all just as shameless as each other. You're just as clueless as me. But nah, seriously, if you watch him, I'm a fan. He's good with both feet and he's good at set pieces. He's a creative player. It's goals from the midfield. And I always have, not to go on I'm not going into a Nunes thing, but when we bought Nunes, I knew we were going to try and then build a system to where he gets the majority of the chances. And same with like Rashford in United or Ronaldo in United, it tends to take away from the overall team. So not a Nunes fault. It's actually a Klopp problem. So when he was putting Salah all the way out wide, I thought it was strange. But then, but what you're trying to do with that type of system is get your attacker the majority of the goals, the same way Rashford was getting the majority of the goals. Before him, it was Ronaldo. Before him, it was Bruno. So there's always been that one player in the Man United system who gets the majority of those goals. And you saw how they've done collectively. So I don't want us to fall in that same boat. Therefore, Szoboszlai, he gets you goals from the midfield while you're still getting goals from Mo Salah, while you're getting the odd one there from Luis Diaz. And then Nunes can either come off the bench or if he starts, because we've got great attacking options, then that's something that we can look at as well as another goal scorer. But I do think, when we changed up the system to not adhere to just Nunes, I do think we significantly improved. Not a Nunes issue, a Klopp issue, because he needed to change the system a little bit. But I think the biggest fault was the fact that a lot of the players were just not good enough. Defensively, we were embarrassing and all these things. But Szoboszlai would be massive. Just think about that one extra player where if your team is playing bad, it's one more player who can carry you out the game. Alkesh, shout out, sir. I believe I messaged you previous to the show. Hey, James, do we think that Robbo suits the left centre-back role? No, I'm not going to lie. Let me read the rest of your point. Do you think we need an upgrade to another centre-back? He made a few mistakes. Yeah, Robertson, no, I would never go with the idea of him being a left-sided centre-back. Chat, let me know if this is something that you'd be up for, but it's not something I'd be too up for. Harris says, personally, don't want Szoboszlai. I'm going to call him Dominik. Not a player profile we are desperate to fill in. Would rather players with more defensive attributes like Kone as a 6 and an 8 like Thuram, who are more of a necessity. Right, chatty, here's what I'm going to say. So if we don't get 2 more midfielders, can we be upset about that? So if I come up here, when the transfer window deadline day completes and we don't have 2 midfielders of quality, let's say it's Szoboszlai and then Latvia, and we don't get them to, can I be upset about that? Because I just want to know pre-hand. Because whenever I talk about something, apparently it makes people lose sleep. It's one of those things. I'm not trying to say I'm right about everything, but apparently discussion isn't allowed to be had in the modern day. I'm only trying to analyse. Guys, can we smash a like? We've nearly got 200 people in the stream. We're booming. James, imagine our midfield next season. McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Thuram. That's a heavy midfield. That is a heavy midfield. It's heavy options. And here what I've just options. I don't even mind if we let Matip and Thiago go for free next summer, as long as we replace them with options. I just want numbers. I want squad depth. How do you build an army? You build it with numbers. But then you teach them how to play with each other. You teach them how to work with each other. It's one of those things where it's the same with players. The season where we chased all 4 trophies, Minamino would do the League Cup games, Kelleher would do the FA Cup games, and we had that sort of dynamic around them all. Players had specific roles aligned for that. Origi was the super sub. You know what I mean? It weren't just Salah is the goal scorer and Virgil van Dijk's the one who stops everything, and Alisson is a wall beyond all things, bigger than the one in China. It's what it like. I'm simply suggesting that you can't just focus on the first 11 and say that you need the ballers off the bench. Like when Riyad Mahrez comes on for City, I'm not even saying a player of that quality, but just that little bit more depth where it says, you know what, Thiago off the bench isn't bad, you know. Hey, I wouldn't mind having I don't know, like Curtis Jones off the bench. I know we still need to see more from Curtis, but if he improves the way he has been and then he comes off the bench, I don't know. It's just about having numbers is the point that I'm leading to. But to be honest, I'm not going to lie. I've seen the talks quieting down throughout the day. And we've only got 2 days to pay that release clause. And apparently we're in a war with Newcastle to get that done. So what would have to happen? We'd have to pay the 60 million up front, the 70 million euros up front, because that's the release clause. Then we'd have to agree with a player. That's very complicated to get done in 2 days. Listen, you can use the argument that FSG could have done this signing earlier if they really wanted the player. But then if it was something that was recent, it's just not going to get done in the next couple of days. But I do think that there was some significant talks there. But then, you go back to, is it PR? I'm trying to be balanced on this stream. I'm trying to find some sort of balance because I think it's important to try and see it from the owner's point of view. Not to give them leeway and but just so we understand the BS, or if you don't want to call it BS, then the situation. Because we need to understand the situation, because then it gives us an idea of what to expect. Because some people think nobody, some people think we'll get 2 or 3. The opinions are all over the place and no one knows except them. Big Boss 7 would be very happy with Szoboszlai signing. Dom, without a doubt, has the quality to make the midfield better. Only 21. Is he 21? He's younger than me. Plenty of time for Klopp to mould. I'm not going to lie, I agree. In terms of a stylistic option, I want this player. He's a nice player. He goes forward. He advances well. He gets goals, and again, all the things I mentioned with the set pieces. It's just the case now. We need to make sure that we stay persistent to get. If it's not him, then chat. How about this? If Liverpool have went and met with Szoboszlai, then should we be expecting another midfielder of that profile? 50 to 60 million. If it's not going to be 75, but 50 to 60. Now, obviously, based on track record, we shouldn't expect that. But if it's a PR stunt and we went and met Szoboszlai, which is apparently true, and I highly doubt we're going to hear anyone come out on the club and say it weren't true. And we've seen loads of things that implied that we've been in contact. If we were in contact, why was we in contact? Is it because we actually want a player like that? Or is it because it generates those stories? But one thing I do know as well is that even though the release clause ends in 2 days, January FC might be back because the release clause then is reactivated. So you can get him on the release clause again in January. Very weird. I don't know why it works like that, how it works like that. But best believe if this transfer doesn't get done in 2 days, this transfer will not happen. Therefore, I don't think it's going to happen because I've done a video earlier and I was slightly more optimistic. But then you look at the ins and outs and you look at the time left to do it. Unless they are already towards the end of the deal and we don't know about it, like Fabinho or Jota, then it increases a possibility. But yeah, I don't know. Captain Sal, PR Stunt is a very good player. And along with Thuram, I'd be happy with the James. No, I'm not going to lie. Thuram and Szoboszlai would be 2 players. Because I believe Szoboszlai is more right here right now. Not even world class, but I think if kind of like McAllister, if you're going to get the player that's below the bracket of world class, these two are about to go over that mark. I can see Dominik playing for a big team in the next couple of seasons based on his ability alone. Don't be surprised if De Bruyne gets a little bit older. That's a player City even go and look at in a few years' time. But, the point that I'm leading to is that I'd love to see someone that we could get right here, right now, who one day could play for the big clubs. If you think that he could play for a big club one day, why not go out and get that player, especially if he's ready, which it looks like he is. He seems a bit more established than some of the players that we've signed. And more stylistically adherent, I think we could do with that extra attacker midfielder. But then you would still have to go out and get someone like a Thuram or a Kone, someone who's a bit more physical, provides those options in midfield. Got visions of FSG using him as an excuse for another 2 windows, living the dream, says. Yeah, for sure. And the one thing you don't want to happen is Szoboszlai going and having a great season with Leipzig And then next thing you know, it's a case of his value rises to 100 million, and then he becomes a top European prospect, and then he's the next Bellingham and Mbappe type idea, where we all just start jumping on that. Dominik is a Carvalho type player. He plays as a 10. He doesn't suit Liverpool defensively. He'll be a liability unless he plays as a winger, but we have a lot of them. He can't play in midfield. But don't you think that'd be productive, having another option as an attacking midfielder and a winger? You've just mentioned the versatility, and we've just mentioned depth. If we can both agree that we want depth, and we both agree that we want quality, and we both agree that we need another attacker and midfielder, you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. Now, yes, if you get just Szoboszlai, then you're thinking, where's the defensive investment in the midfield this summer? But then you're thinking, it's at least another option. So for that versatility, when you can get someone of that quality, he's just one of those good players. He's very good technically, great at shooting, for instance. He's just one of those. He can win a game by himself. I think it's never bad to have a player who can win a game by himself. And, it's not my money, but I do look at it from a point of view. I know we've only got about 100 million to spend at best, and that's even optimistic considering we've spent 45 so far. But let's say even if it's 80 and we spend 60 on this, then you've got 20 to get a defensive midfielder. And if FSG didn't want to be tight bastards, they could spend 30 or 40. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where if he's a good player, go out and get him, in my opinion. And this, out of all the names that we've been linked with, it's one that excites me the most. It's not the one, like, if we could only sign one more midfielder, it wouldn't be the one that I'd get. I'd get Kone instead. But then we're not going to get Kone. So it's a big contradiction. By the way, 250 people have touched the James Redmond live stream. Do smash a like. You'll never walk alone. 66 says James. This is an unrealistic question. But what would you rather take? Guardiola plus Bellingham for 300 million or Mbappe for 300 million? Chat, I'll let you answer that one. I'll jump in. I would have took Guardiola and Bellingham. 300 mil for Mbappe is crazy. Like, I would not pay that much for him. And that's what you'd have to pay. And no doubt we wouldn't be able to buy another player for 3 years with that. So, what was our last 300 million spent in? Like, what was the time we spent our previous 300 million pounds? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how long did it take FSG to spend 300 million pounds, and you think we're going to do it in one summer? Shout out to Alkesh. Thank you, sir. Is Dominik a solution or just an addition? That's a great way to ask the question. A very intelligent question. Is he a solution or is he an addition? Well, first of all, both, I would say, fall into the category of solutions. I think if an addition is made to the midfield and he's versatile and therefore he can play attack as well, then that addition then becomes a solution. If he's got the quality to be a good addition, then that therefore in the long term will just be a solution anyway. So I think it just depends how you look at it. If you think he can be a good player, then yes. If not, then it probably would be a pointless addition. The same way that Arthur was, Arthur's an addition, but he's not a solution. You know what I mean? But I think Szoboszlai can be both. I don't think he has to start week in, week out to end up being a solution. What's your starting midfield with Dominik, McAllister and Thuram added to the squad? For now, I'd stick with Fabinho at CDM and then play McAllister and Dominik. Chat, I've kind of changed my mind on Trent, I know that I've said something. I've never disputed that he should play in midfield, but I've always gone with the argument that I don't think it's as detrimental to play him at right back than people think, especially if you get a good systematic team around him. But then you're thinking you need to build that systematic team. And until you build that, which is very unlikely in the short term, then Trent's going to still be a big liability. Therefore, we need to put him in midfield. And the more that I do watch him, I knew this anyway. It was one of those things. I knew this anyway, but he did so well at right back where I thought I was fine with it. And he brings us a different dimension to right back that we wouldn't have if we weren't there. But he does low-key need to be a midfielder. I don't know. I know it's a pointless conversation because it's not going to happen, but he does. He needs to be a midfielder, chat. He's one of those players where, kind of like Kimmich, from Bayern Munich. Someone actually commented this and changed my mind the other day. And they were like, Kimmich was a great reference. We went from right back to centre mid. Lamy, someone was a right back and CDM. I think Trent, I'm not saying he'd be a CDM, but even that offensive midfielder who can do a little bit of defensive work, which we know he can still do, the certain basics of defending, but there's somewhere he massively underwhelms. So if you give him less of those scenarios, then maybe I'd have to see it tried out in a Liverpool team first before I'm fully on board with that opinion. But yeah, in terms of what you would have asked me about that a week ago, I do think a quicker solution would be getting him in midfield. But also, we've got to sort out the contract situation with Trent, don't we? Is Kone still injured? I'm not too sure if he's injured. I didn't even know he was injured in the first place. Shout out to Harry. Let me just have a sip of water, cause my mouth's dry. Do you think any current or linked midfielders will take the number 8? Too hard of a question to answer. I don't know where the club are sitting with that number 8 shirt. I don't know if they're thinking it'll be great for marketing or if they think it went horribly wrong with Keita. So yeah, fuck that. My dream midfield will be Barella, Trent, and Fabinho. I go Fabinho. McAllister. If I could go with Kone, I'd go with Kone. But whoever that new addition is, he has to be the other midfielder because it can't be Henderson. And then Thiago will be replaced by McAllister, I'd assume. If Thiago's fit, though, I wouldn't mind seeing Thiago in midfield. People sleep on Thiago, man. He's got quality. Nunes or Pepe? Are you on about Pepe from Arsenal? Oh, that's an interesting... I mean, it just depends. They're two completely different players, you know what I mean? I mean, who would I prefer? I prefer probably Nunes, just because I don't know what Pepe will ever give to us that Salah ever couldn't. And I think if you're going to buy a replacement for Salah or a backup to Salah, then you want him to overtake Salah at some point. I don't think Pepe has that quality. But he is a good player, but he's not the one to win us league titles. Kind of like how I feel about Nunes, but Nunes is a striker opposed to a right winger. So I see at least a backup position there for Nunes, but not a first team for either. In the short term. Ashley says, Gundogan leaving for Barca is good for the league. The man was commanding every game he played in, such a great player. Chat, WRL, Gundogan was the best player in the Premier League last season. WRL? Okay, even if it's not just the Premier League competition solely, all competitions, big game player. By the way, Gundogan deserves to be in the conversation with the best midfielders in the Premier League era. Let me just get that 100% clear. If you don't know ball, get to know ball. İlkay Gundogan deserves to be in the conversation with the elites of midfield in the Prem. He does. It's one of those conversations. He is one of the greatest midfielders of all time. Oh, James, don't go too far. At Dortmund, monster. Man City, monstrous. He was the best of a group of steroid takers. I don't think you understand this. He literally took the league away from us. That was İlkay Gundogan. That was Jurgen Klopp's boy. And I'm not saying that to upset you. I'm letting you know about the type of player that he was. 3 seasons in a row, that man had an impact. If there was one player that I ever could have took out of the City team and brought into our team, it most certainly would have been Gundogan. Gundogan was just one of... And, what about Kevin De Bruyne? We've got Trent. I don't want the work rate of De Bruyne in my midfield. We're not as saucy and glossy as City. Get us İlkay Gundogan. He'll put the yards in and he'll still get the goals. İlkay was boss. And I hope he does well at Barca. Him and Lewandowski doing the link-up. Gunzo on some level as Iniesta. Jeez, man like Alexis, blood. Chat WRL. Gundogan on the Iniesta levels. Is this what we're saying? Are these the levels? People think that Fabinho is washed, but a single season with a dip in form. It's not really one season. I'd recommend it's 18 to 19 months, to be specific. I think it's 18. Chat WRL, 18 to 19 months. I've seen a bit of a shaky time from Fabinho. And to be honest, I do think we need to start looking at replacements. Not to replace him right now, but for competition. Competition's key. It's one of the things that will get you into all 4 or competing for all 4 competitions. What just happened? Why am I on full screen? Did not like that. I'm not good with technology. I hated the way that happened. James, another question for you. Which would you take of Joe Willock or I don't know. They're all kinds of weird ballers. Like Jacob's nice. Willock, no. Lavia, maybe. Lavia, maybe. Maybe. What did I say that made you say El Festus and Captain Sal? Seriously, what did I say? Everything I say should be a W. And I rebuke the idea of anyone disagreeing with me. That's the mindset of the 2023 generation. What did I miss? You missed a little bit of Shabalite talk and a bunch of questions here. But don't worry, we've still got loads of time in the stream, so sit back, chillax, and enjoy. Johnny Gundogan says, Johnny says, Gundogan turns it on from May to July. Trust me, we'd have won so many big finals if we signed him. Do you know what? You're right. He turns it on even more, but He was always still really, really good throughout the season. I agree there, Johnny. Good point. So Harris says, so after that point about Fabinho, why the fuck are we looking at Shibboleth? No, I get you. You're saying based on the budget which we're likely to have, why are we getting Shibboleth and not a DM? I've agreed. If we get just Shibboleth and no DM, it makes no sense. But if we can get both, and I want two more midfielders, as I'm sure you do, Harris, then that's where it makes a little bit more sense. Because would you agree that we also need an attacker? If you agree that we also need an attacker, then you would agree that Shibboleth would be an all right signing. Yeah, if you agree with these two things, one, we need an attacker and a midfielder, and two, you recognise we have a limited budget, and three, you recognise Shibboleth is a good player. If you recognise and agree with those three things, you should want Shibboleth because he is one of those players who is versatile, can play on the wings, can play in the midfield. He gets you goals from the midfield, so he's forcing you to play systematically different. He creates more goals for the likes of Nunes, who's a volume chance merchant, and Salah, who's volume. So you think about it, I'm not wearing a disrespect. It's good to be a volume chance merchant if you convert your chances. But it's one of those things that if you agree with those three premises, then you should want a player like Shibboleth because he's killing two birds with one stone. We still need a CDM. So yeah. But again, you're going off realism. Like, will we actually get two more midfielders? Is that possible to think of? And that's when I'm sitting on the same fence with you. But don't you worry. Don't you worry. I'm just trying to see both sides. Come on. Isn't that what I'm basically saying? Szoboszlai. Come on. Tomato. Thiago is a success or failure. Is Thiago a success? For me, it's average that 21-22 season. He was so good. Another season, he was bad. The first season, I'm trying to recall his first season. Okay, his first season, he had a good game against Chelsea on his debut and we all creamed our pants. Then he went quite shit because we went shit and he got injured, I think. And then the end of the season, he picked it up when we made a charge for top four. In fact, that season, towards the end, he was our best player, in my opinion, in the final 8-9 games. W order. And then next point. Next season, should I say? I'm all over the place tonight. Next season, you've got to look at it from a point. He was one of our best players that year. He was unbelievable. And then last season, barely had an impact. I think my voices from the stands had more of an impact than Thiago last season with the minimal minutes. But a player of that quality, for the fact we're not going to get no money for him anyway, I think that's pretty much clear. It's another valuable asset who we're just letting go for free. Might well make the most out of him next season. But success or failure, I think if you told us when we signed Thiago what we could do with the prospect of Thiago and you said it was going to be an FA Cup and a League Cup in a 3 to 4 year spell, yeah, I do think that the fans wouldn't like that. So in that sense, it would be a flop, unfortunately. James, but it's not just Thiago's fault. James, I was getting a haircut and they started playing the clip when you said Sadio Mane is the best. That's a random time to hear my voice. I apologise. You must have been very peacefully getting a nice little short back and sides and then Sadio Mane, he's the best player. Yeah, it's one of those things. How do you think I feel? That video haunts me every single day. 16-year-old no balls drop James just constantly talking and yapping in the background. Like, Sadio Mane, Sadio. Should we watch that interview together, chat? Should we put that on right now? Shall I go on Twitter and put or YouTube? Shall I go on Twitter or YouTube and put it on? Right there. James. Jeez. You can type in James R and then my name pops up. Am I a big deal like that? Mane. Have a little look. Let's go back in memory lane. I forgot it was the Hoffenheim game. I remember it's the Hoffenheim game, but I always forget it was that game. Like, it's such a random game in the Champions League qualifiers for such a historic moment to actually happen, right? Yeah. We saw the interview a million times, but have you ever saw James reacting to? Oh, there's a made zero money. This video's on how many views? 4.6 million views. Are you taking the Idris Ghana? Are you wild? Hey, Paul. You know what I mean? Wait there. Let me share screen. Settings. How do I share screen again? Barakande. Right. Share screen. YouTube. Share. Right, yeah, guys. So this is the boom. This is the thing. The video. I don't know if my mic will become a little bit disrupted because of the video, so I'm going to try and not talk too much throughout it, and let me know if there is issues. But let's go.
Try to put words to that game. Liverpool were amazing.
Bosh, amazing, sick, great, fantastic. What else do you want me to say? Anything else?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
We blew them away.
We did.
We did.
Every player was bosh, and
Two things. If you can hear me and I'm not rattling, and because sometimes when I link up the video and me, it rattles a bit. Two things. The tan, beautiful. Can we just admire the tan a sec? Like, look at the tan on the face. It's absolutely sensational. The colour, and we ain't just the lighting. That was a lovely summer of constant sunshine. Right, first thing. Second thing, the conviction. The conviction in the voice. I'm more I'm funnier then than I am now. And it's a big shame. I'm less serious then, but serious at the same time.
the one that I'm mentioning now, Sadio Mane. I said it last time I was on it. He's the best football player in the world. I don't know why.
Mic drop. Never dropped it. Fuck that shit. I think I can afford a new mic in the short term. That was the moment. That was history established in one. It was established in one.
Why are you laughing for? What, Chris, why are you laughing for? Why are you laughing for? I'm being serious. No, you
Never understood the premise of why Chris was laughing, by the way. I thought, genuinely, chat, I thought I was spitting facts. You know what I mean?
No, you see,
He's ate his words.
Facts, yeah, I don't do if, buts and maybes. I do absolutes. And, you know, like, if your aunt had balls, she'd be your uncle. But she doesn't, so she's not. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So,
not really, but I'm loving the way you say it.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, what I'm trying to say, he's the best football player in the world. He's boss. Chan's better than Idrissa Gana Gueye.
Exactly.
I've no idea. That was just like an added bar. And I don't know why I referenced Idrissa Gana Gueye in a game against Hoffenheim. And I don't know why I referenced Chan being better than him. But that's young James.
Exactly. He knows.
Who knows?
My man knows.
He knows. My man knows.
Paul,
Oh, wait, this is the best bit.
Champions League, baby.
Champions League,
You know
baby. Yeah, back when James didn't hide behind a cap, you bellends, your ass. Chris Pajak from Redmen TV is a boss lad. That is quality. Shout out to Chris. James, you look like you're in 8th grade. I was 16 on that video. I was 16 years of age, so yeah, I've changed a bit and not much at the same time. You were right, bro. Agreed, man. He carried this team for years. He was unreal, and that was like him actually kicking on and doing unbelievable. Like, yeah, time of recording that video, Mane had 0 trophies. All that time later, and he won every single one. Crazy, absolutely wild scenes. I'll read that comment in a sec, Sharon. Don't you worry, James. My other account isn't showing up in the chat. Me, what's going on? Can you fix it? Me, I will. Me, but not me. I will do that. For now, do go on there. I've been wondering where you've been. I hope one of me mods haven't banned people. Mods, if you are a mod, don't ban people, just temporarily time them out. I don't know if you can ban people, but I don't want people like me getting banned. He brings a lot to the chat, and I've been wondering where he's been. Sorry about that, lads. I'll have a look at that later. Young Hammers, let me defend Fabinho when you're done. Nah, 100%. I'll get you on in about 5-10 minutes, Johnny. 5-10 minutes. It was nice to go back down to memory lane. James, you said it's good that you have Don, as he can play a 10 and a winger, which can be good for depth. If so, why did we loan out Carvalho? So we're comparing Carvalho to Szoboszlai because they're two different players. It's like saying, why not play Benzo over Lionel Messi? Just because they play the same position doesn't mean you can't have a different application for a different player. So if Szoboszlai is better than Carvalho, then you'd think, well, let's go and get Szoboszlai and let Carvalho develop in Leipzig. Because if we get Szoboszlai and keep Carvalho, it's one more player that plays above Carvalho. Therefore, his value's not going up. So there's no productivity in keeping Carvalho and bringing in Szoboszlai if that's who we was going to bring in. If that makes sense. So I hope that answers your question. Johnny says, yeah, man, yeah, man, we'll get you in a minute, Johnny. Don't you worry, sir. 90 LFC, look at Arsenal. The last couple of years, what they've been spent, they are acting like a big club. We are not, and we are much bigger than Arsenal. But we are, no, Liverpool are much bigger than Arsenal. FSG are not better than their owners. They have a problem with their owners. Ours are worse. And we've won more than them in recent times. This is why I try and give a lot of credit to Jurgen Klopp. Because it's not just about money, for sure. Otherwise, Arsenal would have won, done better last year. And think about how much they spent last year in a window and they still couldn't get 90 points. It's one of those things. It's a very hard job to do. Arsenal are fantastic in the business that they're doing, the show and agency, they're doing all these things, and their fans still are upset. So I think, imagine their football club, who, like you say, it's a smaller football club than us. They if they want to go with the Instagram awards and have more fans, then that's one story. I usually define biggest football clubs as success, history and all these things. It might not always be that way. Arsenal could overtake us one day the same way City could overtake us in 100 years. But for right now, that's just not how it stands. So I don't know, but I can only ever go back to the answer. Even though our crest is superior to their crest, our owners are inferior to their owners. That's the best way I can put it. James Redmond is hot. You're damn right. Why? Hey, bro. Thanks for replying on Insta. Before the Tony debate is very interesting. Yeah, do you know what? The Tony debate was good. I like Ivan Toney. I'm a big fan of Ivan Toney. I'd take him tomorrow if I could. But it seems like a lot of people haven't watched Ivan Toney with the way they speak about him. And if you compare how they speak about other players, then you'd be a bit confused. James, why don't you make videos with Cop TV no more? We do videos, just not as much as we used to. But yeah, we still do videos. So there's no issues there with Alex. Alexis is my brother. But we'll start doing stuff again, Festus, no doubt. James, do you think we can get one more Premier League title before Klopp leaves? Chat, I'm going to let you answer that one. In the meantime, while you answer them, I'm going to send the link to Johnny. And for the final half an hour, he's going to just chime in and out. Geez, we've now just got a confirmation. Saeed has just asked me to come on his channel tomorrow. I'm going to respond and say, yeah, and you're going to be there. Me and Saeed reuniting. Shout out to Saeed. Saeed, I'm streaming. So send a voice note back so I can play it to the chat because they've missed you. And I will come on the channel. Let me know what time. All Gucci in the hood, baby. Hope you're well, son. My guy Saeed, let me send that link to Jonathan. By the way, guys, smash a like and thank you. Thank you for the support that you've been putting on these streams. You have been insane. And I do hope you're liking the streams, and all the feedback is honestly appreciative because it makes me better. And call me out on me bullshit, chat. Don't be shithouses. If I say something and you disagree with it, say with chest, James, you're wrong. James, you are wrong. You are a knobhead. And we're also going to start doing the chat, the call-in shows very soon. So I'm gonna try and get somebody to set up a Discord or something like that. And then once someone set up once I've got a Discord set up, I can then start putting the StreamYard link in there, and then all yous can join. But I might even just put it in the chat. I don't mind. I'm not fussy. Let me remove that one. There we go. Right, let me answer your question. So will Klopp win another Premier League before we go? James, each year, I'll reply to this one. Let me start that one. I'll reply to that one in a minute. Harris, I apologise, and I'm just going to make sure that I stay on the topic of before. Right, so Kate says no. Rosh lad. Oh, shout out to Rosh lad. I hope you're well, sir. Long time no see. It's mad because I had a long break off of YouTube, so there's people who are coming back to my streams, and I'm like, Rosh lad. Like if you've seen someone at a pub and you haven't seen them for ages. Rosh lad. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if Jurgen Klopp's going to win another league title, chat. Let's just get to the final premise. Right, here's Johnny. Here's Johnny.
Hello, James. How are we doing, mate?
Fucking marvellous, lad. How are you?
Oh, I'm great, mate. I'm great.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
I just want to talk about Fabinho quickly.
Can we pause on that a second? Can you hold that thought?
Yeah, man.
Only because we're on the Jurgen Klopp topic, and I wouldn't want to divert from it. Will Jurgen Klopp win another Premier League in his tenure at Liverpool? Answer and I'll respond.
Yeah, definitely. If he's given the tools he requires to win that Premier League. If you expect him to keep the current squad we've got right now and win the league, yeah, you're living in some crazy fantasy land.
I understand what you're saying. So, yeah, then let's go on based on logic on what we think's going to happen then, Johnny. So, if you were going to predict if FSG will back him the way that you think he needs to be back to win that Premier League, do you think that'll happen? Simple yes or no, Johnny. Go with your chest.
Probably not, mate, because he'll have to deal with, won't he, when we think about it, like, over the years, right, apart from Van Dijk and Alisson, can you say that all the other positions we've signed have been his 100% first choice? You can't, can you?
No, I agree. It's not 100% his first choice, and I'm glad you mentioned that point. But this is the thing. I don't believe that even though Klopp is capable of winning another league, I don't believe that the owners will give him the sufficient funds or resources to go ahead and win that league. And that's where the issue lies with me. It lies because people will say, James, you're negative. Oh, you don't believe in Klopp. But they don't understand the context behind my answer. The context behind my answer is that Klopp couldn't go to Tranmere and get them promoted back to back and then win the Premier League. Because even though he's a good manager, there's just certain things you can't do. It needs to be a mixture of things. You need to identify the right players. Then players need to apply themselves properly. And then the manager needs to stay on top. So it's a multitude of factors. So if some people suggest Jurgen Klopp's got worse, and then let's hypothetically say that's true, that's one factor. But then if that's not true, which I don't believe it to be, I still believe he could win a league. If he's not going to get the resources, then that's where it's tough. So I'm breaking it down this way. I don't think we'll win another league title under Klopp because, one, he's not going to sign after 2026, in my opinion. That's the first factor. If he was to sign an extension, possibly. But if he's not going to sign an extension, I don't see a time in the next 4 years where we surpass Man City once. And I also don't see a time in the next 4 years where I dispute the possibility of a Newcastle or a Chelsea finally breaking into that top 2 title race, if that makes sense. And it might be at a point where it's City and them competing for 90 points and then we're falling behind the pecking order. So based on that factor, then other teams getting better and the fact that we're not going to be backed, that worries me about winning. If I had to put the way I determine things is if I had to put all my money on the line to answer these questions, I'd lean towards no.
I think the only thing that we can probably for sure say is when Klopp came in, he told us he would win us a league within 5 years, and he did. And then he did that with, obviously, from that team that won the league, none of them players had won a Premier League before, apart from James Milner. I'm pretty sure I'm correct in saying. So with the experience now of Fabinho, Henderson, Van Dijk, Trent, Robertson, Alisson, these have, they've done it there. So you hope that matters. But then also, I just wanted to this is off topic to it, but still relates. What do you think about Arsenal beating Man City today for Declan Rice? There's been loads of signings where we've gone into it wanting players and Man City have walked away with them because they've just offered them so much more money than we're capable of.
Yeah.
But then how can Arsenal sign Declan Rice over Man City?
I referenced the idea. Now, this is... I've got a bit of a theory. So...
It's not the Arteta ringing Pep one, is it?
So do you know who said that? You're onto the way it was Aluko who brought up the girl, Aluko. Like she used to play for...
Yeah.
I think it was at Arsenal or something. I can't remember. But I know her brother used to play footy as well. Either way, she mentioned the idea, didn't she, about it? Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I do think, obviously, it's a bit... I think it was a bit tongue-in-cheek and it was a joke.
Yeah, lads.
Something like that. What?
If you've listened to what Mark Goldbridge thinks about it, I think his opinion is very what the common ground is. If you really believe that Mikel Arteta was sat in his office and rang up Man City, Guardiola, to put a bid in so that his board would get their act together and submit another bid, yeah, you're crazy. That's not how football works.
Okay, then where's your experience? And let me ask Mark Goldbridge, where's his experience?
Oh no, definitely. We're both I'm the same as you, James. I'm speculating here to accumulate, but come on now. That's like on the terms with Bellingham.
Okay, I would be too far-fetched to say that that's defo true, but to play devil's advocate, right? Yeah. You're telling me that there weren't something about City pushing Manchester United into signing
No. What I'm saying is though that
you don't think there was nothing in City trying to get United to pay more for Harry Maguire?
Yeah, that's different. But what I think is that...
No, but you're onto what I'm saying, though, Johnny. Because if they were to do that, how are they doing that? So it might not be Pep and Mikel on the phone, but then board of directors could be doing something like...
Oh, yeah, just inflating prices everywhere they go.
No, do you know what City? I think they're thinking, we want to go and buy X. We don't actually want Rice, we want X. So whoever X is, but Rice, will get them to pay that much for Rice because we know we're going to get someone better. So, all I'm saying, there's a method to the madness.
Can I just say, though, when have City ever struggled for a transfer budget, if that makes sense? That's all I would have to counter that,
That's what I mean. They're capable of getting Declan Rice, and they're not getting him.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Is it because they don't want him anyway? Because if they wanted to match Arsenal's bid, I'm sure they could.
Of course they don't. And isn't it dead funny the way that Arsenal fans are walking around with the ball? And I'm not hating on Arsenal fans. Like it's just funny that I see some letting down the overall fan base by saying like, "Oh yeah, this is a big boy move." Like, no,
lad.
it's a big boy move in a sense of this, but they're trying to like get a point over City, saying like, "Oh yeah, you couldn't handle Edu's spends and power."
no.
I'm just like, shut the fuck up.
Hey, James, what do you think about this, yeah?
Top half the season, shut up.
What do you think about this, James, right? Rodri or Declan Rice? That is so easy for me. It's not even a question.
This is why I'm saying you're telling me Pep weren't doing some shit there, lad. I'm not saying him and Arteta agreed because Pep wouldn't want to help out.
No, that's what.
But
that's what I was trying to say, lad.
But yeah, get on this. No, Johnny, seriously, if Pep, let's do a conspiracy. If Pep thought Declan Rice was shit, and let's say he thought that and he was on the phone to Arteta, like, yeah, boss him, lad. We're after him. Oh, you're after him. Like, yeah, we're after him. Oh, shit. Arteta gets off the phone, bam, you know. But then Pep says, you know what, lad, I'm going to help you with this transfer. Just because we can't afford it, like, we're looking at other options, you know what I mean? Man, you know that's bullshit. But the thing is, if they go and buy Declan Rice and then, like you said, they've already got Rodri, they've already got Calvin Phillips, and they can bring in whoever else they want.
There's
doing a masterclass. They could be destroying other teams by making them buy certain. You're telling me Maguire didn't destroy United for a temporary amount of time?
Oh, definitely. Have you heard the Rojo story with about Maguire?
No.
So basically, Rojo's made a podcast, and you can all go look it up. I'm sure a lot of people have already seen it, where he says that he went into Solskjaer's office and he told Solskjaer, "I'm better than Maguire. Play me or sell me. Simple." And Solskjaer told him, "I know you're better than him, but we paid 85 million for him, so he's got to play."
It's
and
factual.
That's out of Rojo's mouth.
This is how people should know that there's more to football than just like, oh, he should play, he should play. Players get paid per appearance. And also there's been confirmed stories that came out in the past that if a player, back in the day, this has happened in the lower leagues as well. So don't dispute that it's happening in the top leagues. It's not super heavily regulated to keep up with all this stuff. But players would pay the manager. Someone, I can't remember, but there was a manager who came out and said, I was getting paid 20 grand or 15 to 20 grand to, sorry, not 15 to 20 grand, a couple of grand for a player to make an extra appearance because they would have got a certain bonus. So it's like, all right, then if you want me to play you, I'm going to need to have some compensation because I don't think you should play. That's confirmed. Like, this has happened in football before.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But why did I bring up that story? There was a reason.
Have you ever listened to Simon Jordan talk to, what was the ex-Tottenham, Tim Sherwood, that's his name, when he first was managing in 2014-15 with Spurs, and he said he wanted to play Harry Kane, and Daniel Levy called him in his office because he knew he was starting him the day before, and he said to him, I want to sell Kane, and you need to play Soldado because he cost me 28 million, and if you play Kane, you're devaluing my 28 million. And he said, Tim Sherwood says to him, well, if you don't let me play Kane, you don't want to win the game, so I'm not being the manager. And he says, oh, I didn't realise it's like that, and lets him play Kane. But the point of that being, clearly, you know, the owners have such a massive influence.
100%. That's why Maguire played every single season.
Exactly.
Because he had to. They had to make it work. This is why I was skeptical about Núñez. Not because he can never be good, but there's no guarantee he will be good. So if he's not good, we've just spent the majority of our money on a player that we can't replace. That was my only worry about Núñez. Like, if you can get him in as a backup and whatnot, I don't see the productivity of playing 65 million for a backup. But I'm not getting into the Núñez thing. But that's just like my application. It's very dangerous to go for a big name. We were stuck with an injured Keita for 4 seasons. You don't want to waste big money. You do not want to waste big money. If Man United can't replace Maguire, imagine us in those positions. Mate, if Arsenal fans think Rice and Havertz wins the league now, they're pissed. 1-season wonders. I don't even think Kai Havertz is a 1-season wonder. I believe he's a Bundesliga wonder. I've never seen him be a Premier League wonder. And in regards to Declan Rice, I think he'll be a good signing for them. I think he's better than Xhaka, so I'm not going to lie. I think it's a bit of an upgrade. James, give me some Riz tips. Johnny, have you got any Riz tips for Nelson?
I don't know. Maybe just go take your shirt off in front of her. Start flexing them pecs.
Mike Dars, he says City drove up the price. I would take Kovacic over Rice in the midfield any day. Jeez, I thought he was going to do a rap there. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, Kovacic is a better player than Rice, in my opinion. What are you saying, Johnny? They're both different, but...
Kovacic, yeah, I can see why you say that. We're watching him at Madrid and watching him at Chelsea over the years, and just think of that wonder goal he scored against us when we was winning 2-1 at the Bridge. Like, yeah, he gives me Luka Modric vibes.
Yeah, Luka Modric. Ooh, Kovacic.
Yeah, definitely. Like, his vision.
Comparison. Like, you're not
he's
saying he's as
shot.
good as Modric, I know that. You're just saying stylistically there's similarities.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's better. I'm saying he's very similar, though.
Nah, of course, I agree. 100% agree, bro. 100% agree. James, FSG are planning on buying an NBA team. Johnny, have you heard about this?
No.
After selling all their sporting ventures, Liverpool, Red Sox, etc., hence the crippling investments over the years. Wow. Okay, that's a bit strange. I just hope they sell that football club. I'm not going to lie, though. I do think they have got to sell this football club in the next 3 to 4 years. They'll be killing themselves if they don't.
What do you think, James, about the investment, though? Like, when you think 6 months ago, before United was getting linked with these new owners they're meant to have from Qatar, we was the first ones on there. You know, Liverpool are up for sale. That was the word Sky Sports used. And then after 2 or 3 months, it was Liverpool are looking for investors, and we never said they was up for sale, even though you can still see the picture where it says Liverpool are up for sale. But and then all of a sudden, you know, skip to present day, nothing, just all dead.
I hear you, bro. I hear you. Even me. He says Stones is a better midfielder than Rice. Stones in midfield is a monster. He is an absolute monster. So, sorry, Johnny, what was the point that you just raised then? I was reading a comment, sorry. Like,
the point was, how can all the interest in Liverpool have dried up, and it seems like FSG aren't even looking for investment anymore,
it's a weird one, innit? It's a weird one. But this is the thing. If it is happening, we don't know about it. And I just think it's one of those that, like, maybe they were planting the seed last season to let people know, like, hey, listen, we're looking on selling this thing. We need it. We need it to be sold, or we need investors. So, you know, they can be very complicated processes. But if FSG can do anything to accelerate that process, then they should, because it's going to be a danger for them if they keep this football club for too long. If they stay at this football club for 5 more years, that's a big possibility of failure, because then they're going to have the mission of replacing Klopp. I think before Klopp goes, they should have that as their escape plan. When Klopp goes, we go.
Yep. And when you think, James, I think it's impossible for them to expand the stadium. Yeah, all right, you can always get the latest PlayStation or Xbox for the players in the training ground. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about for the fans and for the actual improvement of the club. I don't think they can keep going.
I agree. FSG are waiting for the NBA to give Las Vegas an expansion team to buy with LeBron James. That is wild. It's wild because it just shows that the money's there, and I understand they want to be self-sufficient and all this stuff, but then if you want to compete and then you want to be self-sufficient, then that's wrong. And then even Callum brought up a good point yesterday. By the way, 300 people in the stream. Let's get those likes up, people, if that's possible. Callum mentioned something, and he said that, well, in recent years, we haven't really been sell to buy, but then I thought it was, we still kind of have, but he mentioned that, like, the Núñez money we spent, we never sold anyone to directly replace him. Well, we had Mane and accumulative funds, but then even like January, we bought Gakpo and there was no one who was sold for him. It was just being players for free. So then where's the sell to buy model coming from? But then I thought about all the players that we'd sold in previous summers we never spent.
What about all the money too, James, from the prizes from last season? You know, we got to the final of the Champions League.
Facts,
both
bro.
cup competitions.
Facts. Now there's money there. There's money. If it's a self-sufficient football club, a lot of that money needs to go into transfers. You know what I mean? And you're telling me we're only making like less than 100 million a summer? Come on. And then if we are making less money, you need to start boosting money in the club to make us a bigger football club, because then that's the only way we're going to start getting more sales, and then you'll get more revenue. Crazy. I actually wanted to read that comment there. I think it was Harris. There's always been interest in buying us, but FSG says we aren't for sale. So why would you try but something not for sale? That's why it's gone quiet. If we were up for sale today, we would be sold. This is a good point from Harris. This is the comment I wanted to read. John W. Henry, this was a quote a while ago. Shout out to me. Not me, but you. Are we selling LFC? No. Are talking with investors about LFC? Yes. Will something happen there? I believe so, but it won't be a sale. Have we sold anything in the past 20 years? I didn't even know that fucking quote existed, and I'm fuming that it does. I knew there was something like that quote out there. I didn't know it was that. So we are, chat. If you're wondering why And I knew, do you know what? I tried giving FSG the leeway, but now I'm fuming again because I tried to suggest that they're looking for investors. And I clearly was wrong on my information. If this is true, if this is right, and I don't have me doesn't get quotes out of nowhere. That's one that he'll have remembered or something. That to me is fucking crazy. How are you not looking on selling the football club? And you know they're not, because they had a cheeky little snide response at the end. Oh, we haven't sold a club for 20 years, have we? Fuck off.
James, you know why?
Degenerate NBA buying, golf purchasing bastards. I'm fucking fuming with
James,
them,
let me
Johnny.
tell you why.
Family language to the kids who are watching the show, by the way.
Let's put some context on it for everyone in the chat. When they bought Liverpool, they paid 300 million. That has times 15 in how many years? So what do they think it's going to do in 10 more years?
The Dumbos, lad.
No, but you see, they see a cash cow. They look at us and they just see dollar signs like when you see a cartoon show. They're
That's
like
why the
Mr.
smart
Krabs.
Dumbos, innit?
Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob, he's like John Henry. Seriously.
But yeah, this is what I've been trying to warn people for years about. Even, by the way, can I say, even after we won the league, I said, now we need to kick on. It's the only way you stay on top. And then even when we finished third, I was like, now I'm getting worried. And then the Super League, that fucked it off for me. I was just like, all right, now it's getting pathetic. Now it's just getting to a point where it's like, why are the fan base even going to be... Do you know, after the Super League, I got to a point where I was like, if this fan base turns back on FSG's favour because they've won a Premier League, I'm going to get to a point where I'm going to be fucking livid, because it just proves indoctrination over a fan base. You're going to adhere to these false goals and ambitions. Therefore, because you think we can win the league, that's why you're going to go on back. If I guaranteed you every single season we're not going to win the league, would you go to as many of the games? Maybe. But if there's no prize at the end of it and it's guaranteed, then why are you going? You know,
you're not here. You're going to go to the cup games.
The point that I'm raising, yeah, that's a good shout, cup games. But the point that I'm raising is fans would not be as open to spending their money on a project that isn't what it's being told to be. And then if the owners are now coming out and saying they're not going to sell the football club, but we're looking for investment. Okay, if you get the right investment, that's different. But you're saying you're not going to sell the football club. You cannot compete with these other people. So again, I'll go back to the question that I raised about love. If you want your owners to love you and you think FSG love us, then a sign of love is being able to let go. I'm talking from personal experience. This is to all the men in the chat. You know what I mean? You've got to be able to let go at times. If you need to grow or if they need to grow, you've got to let go. If we want to grow, James. One sec, Johnny. If we want to grow, they have to go. I'm not saying let's start doing protests, but if they love us the way we want our owners to love us and that they would say they love us, they would sell us. But they don't. Because, like what Johnny said, that they look at us like a big opportunity. There was no better time to buy Liverpool than for 300 million. They knew it. And then they also see an opportunity to increase the value through further investment. So I understand why they're looking to keep us. I just hate we're their biggest entity, but we're not the number one priority. And if we are their number one priority, then fucking hell, they need to get their priorities straight, because it's not the way you deal with your priority.
It's the song, isn't it, James? The only way to love them is to let them go.
It's facts, brother. It's facts. Yeah, man, it's a tough one. I'm going to read a few more comments, Johnny, but then I'll bring you back into the conversation in a minute. Do you know what I'll do as well, Johnny? Just in case there's any muffling, I'm going to mute you just for like a couple of minutes, but I'll bring you back in. Oh, yeah, he's muted himself. Right, they got investment. I think it was me who muted them, actually. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'll mute him in a minute. Was it you? Sad. They got investment last summer off Redbird. Sure, they bought 10% of the club, but then got us Arthur on loan. Yeah, that was another one. You know what I mean? And this is why I say to people, like, be careful when you think when what Klopp says is final. If you believe that he doesn't like the media or he's not going to respond honestly to the media, then he's going to come out and just say what's not going to cause shit between him and the owners, which is actually smart. But if he's going to say at the start of the window, I don't want midfielders, but then at the end of the window, he says, I need midfielders. What's the difference of him saying that? An injury. So that was the only reason why he didn't want a midfielder before, and then he wanted one now. That's where I sit there and I struggle. I think, what? And then when Klopp agreed, okay, I need a midfielder, he looked at all the options that FSG would have gave him, like the Champions League draw or the Europa League draw, where they do it in a ball and they pick a name out, and he sees Arthur. That's the only way or thing that makes sense. Logical conclusion that leads to saying, right, let's get Arthur as a solution. That was just an addition. One that was a detriment. One that we would have had to pay probably half of his wages for nothing. And you're telling me that was a Klopp decision? He sat there and said, right, Arthur's the best for this football club. That I can't even prove. Like Klopp, there's a 1% chance that Klopp did say that. I can't prove it. But if you're not going to use your own common sense and sit there and say, okay, I don't think Klopp signed Arthur. I don't think it's possible. If he really had the resource, I don't think that would have been the player on loan. Arthur, someone who's been media at every club that he's been at. This is the approach. Because if Jurgen Klopp's doing that, then yeah, we need to let him go. And we need to let him go tomorrow. If he's got control and he's doing that. But he hasn't got control based on case studies that I've given. And why would he do that? That is crack cocaine on its finest. German Budge. Shout out to Mac Hodgson, the son of Roy. Get these owners out. They treat this club. Right there. Get these owners out with the way they treat this club. We all love like some side chick. Oh, they all love like some side chick. Facts, bro. We're not side things, chat. We're main courses. What are we, Johnny?
Lad, we are the biggest club in England.
Lad, we're main course. We're lobsters, lad, aren't we?
Lad, we are giants.
You fucking damn right. You're damn right. We're giants. We're huge.
We need to start organising riots, lad.
Yeah, but Johnny, me and you will get on the front line. We'll get on the front. We'll do a pitch invasion next season if you want. We'll tie ourselves to the post.
Oh yeah. FSG
Like,
out
Alison,
tops
can you
the
give
lot.
me an autograph? Hey. Or we'll wait till Everton and I'll 2-foot Pickford. Hey, come on, that's guaranteed million subscriber video. Like if I did that, that's a million subs in it, Johnny.
Oh, I'll come do it with you, lad. No worries. If you're doing that,
Yeah, you one side, me the other. Pause.
Yeah. We'll make sure he never plays the game again. We'll make Roy Keane proud.
Yeah, we'll sandwich him, lad, but we've got to pause it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, Johnny. Johnny, I'll bring you back in a second, lad. James, did you see the Glazers protest? We won't do that because half of them constantly make excuses for them. Arsenal, United, and Spurs are all unanimous with their owners, but not us. Because how do I put this politely? Because the approach of calling people dumb doesn't work. Neither does the so-called conspiracy. By the way, did you know that a conspiracy theorist was made just because of critical thinking? Like, so when I say these things about the owners, some people will think, oh, James is being a conspiracy theorist. Oh, he's being smoking budge. No, it's just using logical reasoning. And when you analyse situations and case studies over recent years, you've just got to get to a point and say the fans are being indoctrinated. Because after the Super League, not one Liverpool fan I would have met on the street or online would have said, let's keep FSG. Not one single fan. And I'm guaranteed every Liverpool fan at this point has said FSG out at some point in their lives. I have no doubt about it. But now that that's quietened down, it's okay. They never went through with it, so they're never going to do it again. You naive little bills. Everyone's sweet with it. But I'm only saying this because I like to stay true to myself, and no one's proved not anything. There's things that I've been proven wrong about FSG, but the overall consensus and opinion I have of them, no one's told me anything of substance to dispute that opinion. So that's the only reason why I maintain it. So I just try and be consistent. There's no incentive for me to be angry. In fact, fun fact, my views have been lower ever since we've been like worse. Like the certain videos that do really well on the channel, don't get me wrong, like the highest view video, 7-2 Aston Villa, and you can understand it. But if you go from an overall consensus, the Mane video, I told you before, that has like 5 million views, and that's me being positive. There's fan cams, hundreds of thousands of views of me being positive. Believe me, I can profit off of both, but I'm just saying that I like to also be transparent, and I don't like to be blindly positive. I don't mind positivity, but I'm not going to be blind positive. I'm not going to show blind positivity. Makes no sense to me. So yeah, it's about making people recognise, like, I've got no incentive to chat shit about these owners. They have won us a league and they've done these things. But if they have insincere, ambitions, then you need to reanalyze everything. Harris says, Arabos invested to buy us. FSG only wanted investment whilst continuing majority ownership. Who would want to work with FSG? Why would you want to fund successful transfers and not own the success? Facts. And that's why they're a detriment, because maybe now we could have those bigger funds which could make Liverpool bigger, but they cared about their business and not about Liverpool. And even though Liverpool is their business, it's still a separate entity. It's still their business. It's their requirement, but it's a separate entity in a sense that we still carry on after FSG. They're doing their own thing. We still carry on. So if they really cared about us as an entity opposed to a business, which you'd like to think they love us as an entity as well, then yeah, they would have sold us, but not meant to be, apparently. Bobby Devo says FSG are convinced liars. They tell the fans what they want to hear, not a chance of selling because the price of the club is rising each year. Facts, bro. Facts. But Johnny, we're going to wrap up the stream there. Have you got anything else that you would like to add before the end?
Not really, lad, apart from Fabinho is boss.
Boss in what sense?
In the sense that if he goes back to getting 3,000 to like 2,500 minutes this season, I would not be surprised with the experience the man's got. It's not like he's 33 and past his prime. Look at Casemiro.
I'm on to you. Would you say
I definitely think Fabinho can be the best holding midfielder in the league, like we all thought he was when we won the league. Like, he's not past that. All right, he had a few bad games this season, but he's not done.
Okay, so would you say he's been anywhere near the level of Casemiro over the past 18 months?
Over the past 12 months, I would say there was certainly games where he's been a very important factor. But also, I would... Yeah. But then also, I would say that there's games where Fabinho's totally let us down and has been a massive problem. But like I say, the bad form comes with the good this year. If we can get him back to, consistently playing a 7 or a 10 out of 10 between there like he would normally, then I don't see why we would need a new holding midfielder.
Not even a backup?
I just think he's that good, and Henderson can be our backup holding midfielder at the age he's at.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, lads. I don't see in recent times, the past 18 months, to how he can be a league-winning CDM.
I just think he can do everything, though, don't you, lad? Give him it on the edge of the box, he'll put it away.
At his peak, for sure.
I think he's quality, lad, and I don't think the options out there. Like, I don't rate Caicedo more than Fabinho.
Sorry, Fabinho. Sorry, I had Henderson in my brain.
No. Yeah, I rate him more than Hendo, Mr. Sideways.
Sorry, I saw this comment from Tyrell and I was like, wait, Henderson? No, of course not right now. But yeah, then if Caicedo ends up becoming the next Kante, and he's probably the closest thing to that,
then I eat my words.
Would you eat your words?
Yeah, definitely, because like Fabinho isn't like a Kante.
Start looking for that though, Johnny, because what's going to happen with Fabinho? Because in an ideal world, I'd love all of these players to retire like the way Aguero. Well, I know he moved to Barca, but he basically finished at City. All these players, I'd love them to have glorious send-offs. Glorious send-offs like David Silva did and company did and Aguero did. And honestly, and if you want to keep them sound, but we need to get someone to accommodate them if they're not playing well, like Fabinho hasn't played well for the past 12 to 18 months. Wait there, Johnny, one sec. And if we continue to be persistent with a player who could potentially be bad for 6 months of a season, that is the difference of you finishing 5th and 4th. And my friend, let me tell you, that is most certainly the difference if you get back in a title race of you finishing 2nd and 1st. So we need someone of efficiency. We need someone with rotation ability, someone who can come in and fill a void for Fabinho like Caicedo. And instead of waiting until Fabinho goes and he's done and he's sold, because let's be honest, we've kind of disputed the fact that we're a sell to buy. We're not sell to buy. That's just BS. So if we're going to agree that Fabinho going is a detriment to the team because we're making no funds, fine. But then you've still got to think, if we don't have a replacement, or let's say he plays bad again this season and we haven't got someone sorted, it's more potential points dropped. And that's why I say to the fan base, it's either a new CDM behind him or a new CDM above him, because it's starting to become a potential liability for a team that has limited resources.
Well, I think the only two ways you go about it, James, is you either do like what we've just said, you try recoup that 40 million we paid for him as much as you can, and then you spend that on a new number one, or you give him this season to see if he can still hit the peaks of his powers like we've seen before, and then if he does, then you might just get your money's worth out of him and a new contract.
No, I hear what you're saying. No, you're right, lad. You're being very balanced on the point, so I certainly won't dig into you too much for that. I don't get why players like Henderson are still playing in this team. Adrian, Henderson, Phillips, Matic, Gomez, and a few more need to go. No, I agree.
Did you see the video, by the way, James, from Liverpool? I mentioned it earlier in the chat about how they showed the 2023 kits in the changing rooms, but Thiago... I have saw
that video.
Have you seen it? Yeah.
Yeah, I've saw that video.
I think it's a hint.
Who's the ones who's leaving? Thiago, Matip, and someone else?
Gomez. Yeah, they all have the 2020 tops up.
Do you think there's something to that?
Well, everybody else, you know, Harvey Elliott, the rest of the squad have got the new kits hung in the dressing room, and then obviously, like I say, these 3 players have got all their old kits up. Like, I don't know, it's strange, isn't it? Why is that the case?
That is weird. I actually cannot put my finger on what that could mean.
I
Because
felt like it meant they was leaving.
from my assumption, they're going to stay another year. All those players.
Well, you never know. Hopefully, we can recoup some money on Thiago and Matip. That would be a dream.
Yeah, you're right. To be fair, you're right. It could go either way, mate. Definitely could go either way. Harris says James each day new player links. I don't know. Each day we get gassed about these players. I know it's facts, bro. It's facts. Harris, I saved that one earlier, so I wanted to give that one a bit of attention towards the end of the stream. Shout out to you, sir. But guys, me and Johnny are going to call it a day there. Johnny, anything else you want to say to the people?
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, guys.
Nah, it is right, people. It's right. Johnny, you're becoming a better YouTuber every day. You should be proud of yourself. Oh, actually, before we sign off, don't even go chat. Don't even
It's
go.
your chat, James. The chat in this particular stream is just for his boss, lad.
Boss, innit? Get on this.
Oh, lad, his boss.
A little voice note, so we're going to listen to that.
Yo, Redman Army. Redman Army. What we saying?
Redman Army.
Smash the like button on the video.
Smash the
Make sure
like.
you subscribe.
Make sure sub.
And big up to James for the consistent content, man. We're all proud of you. And like I said, the channel's growing massively. But we want to know, the key question is, where's all the money gone? Where is all the money gone? You started off with the house on fire, but now it's getting a bit, you know, I feel like the tensions are growing on the Liverpool Twitter. I'm hearing FSG out. So, James, can you explain where's the money gone? Have you got the money? Is it all gone? You know?
Money's gone, mate.
Let me speak to this boss. Saeed, if you saw a homeless man on the street, would you walk past the homeless man and laugh at him because he's got no money? Because that's what you've just done in football terms. And I just want you to know, I hope you're proud of yourself, you absolutely evil person. I will see you tomorrow. Be prepared, and you will need it. I don't take the piss, chat. I do not take the piss. Johnny, did you shit yourself then?
Mate, you've got me trembling.
I'm a serious guy, aren't I, Johnny?
You don't do if buts or maybes. I know that, lad. You only do absolutes.
We do fucking absolutes. And on that note, we're going to end this stream there, yeah? We're going to end this stream there. No, serious love to everyone, man. Shout out to Drunk Vigo. Shout out to Sir Oswald Fortitude. Shout out to Ollie K. Bud Jabla Lonsky. TMC. Sorry, I've been terrible at reading tonight. It's been one of those nights chats. Eric Seven Hag. I love that name. Eric Seven Hag. Harris, as always, legends. Me, I'll try and sort out that situation, brother. I apologize that happens. I'll try and sort that ASAP. But in that case, guys, smash a like on your way out, and I will see you all, and Johnny will see you all in a bit. Peace.